Picture this. It's December 11th, 1994. A totally routine flight from the Philippines to Japan suddenly becomes anything but. Out of nowhere, a bomb goes off, mid-air, crippling a massive Boeing 747. And for the crew, everything boils down to one single terrifying problem.
So how do you land a jumbo jet with absolutely no steering? I mean, think about it. It sounds like a question straight out of a movie, right? Especially when you're 31,000 feet up in the sky with almost 300 lives hanging in the balance. Well, for the crew of PAL Flight 434, this wasn't a hypothetical. It was the terrifying reality they were staring right in the face.
Okay, so let's set the scene. It's 11:43 in the morning. The plane is just cruising along on its way to Tokyo. And then, bam, a massive, violent explosion just rips through the passenger cabin. This was no engine failure, not some bad turbulence. No, this was a bomb. Someone had deliberately put it on that plane.
The explosion was so powerful it blew a 2-square-foot hole straight through the cabin floor. But you know, a hole, as bad as that is, wasn't even the worst part. The real problem, the absolute nightmare scenario for any pilot, was what the shrapnel sliced through: the flight control cables. In a split second, the pilots had lost everything. They had no way to steer the plane.
And tragically, that explosion cost a life. A 24-year-old Japanese businessman named Haruki Ikegami was killed instantly. He just happened to be in seat 26K, the seat right above where the bomb was hidden. It's a horrible thing to say, but his body actually absorbed a huge amount of the blast. And that grim fact is probably what saved the plane from breaking apart right then and there.
So while you have this incredible crisis unfolding in the cockpit, you've got this chilling mystery brewing on the ground. I mean, who does this? Who plants a bomb on a commercial flight? And maybe the more terrifying question, how in the world did they get it past security?
Well, the bomber turned out to be a ghost on the flight. His name was Ramzi Youssef, a terrorist who was already infamous for the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. His plan was deviously simple. He boarded the first leg of the flight from Manila to Cebu using a fake Italian passport, and then he just got off the plane, leaving his little gift behind. And when you look at how he did it, it's just meticulous, it's chilling. So first he gets the components on board. He hides the batteries and wiring in the heel of his shoe, right? So metal detectors, totally useless. Then he slips into the lavatory to assemble the thing. He's got liquid nitroglycerin disguised as contact lens fluid, and for a timer, a modified Casio digital watch. Unbelievable. He puts it all together, tucks the bomb into the life vest pocket right under seat 26K, and then, at the stopover in Cebu, he just walks off. Hours before it's set to go off.
But here's the crazy part. For all his meticulous planning, Youssef made one tiny, critical mistake. See, his whole plan hinged on seat 26K being directly over the plane's center fuel tank. If it was, the explosion would have been catastrophic. The entire plane would have disintegrated. But on this specific model of the 747, that seat was actually 2 rows forward, just a few feet. And that tiny miscalculation changed everything. It meant the blast went down, into the cargo hold, completely missing the fuel tank. That one little detail is what saved the plane.
Okay, so let's jump back into the cockpit. The explosion knocks out the autopilot. The crew, they do what they're trained to do. They grab the controls, and they get nothing. The yokes are just dead in their hands. The steering is gone. In that moment, they weren't pilots anymore. They were basically passengers in a 200-ton glider that was starting to fall out of the sky.
So the fate of every single person on that plane now rested on the shoulders of these 3 men. You had Captain Ed Reyes, First Officer Jaime Herrera, and Flight Engineer Dexter Commodore. This experienced crew had to pull on every last bit of their training, their skill, their sheer ingenuity to solve a problem that, well, it seemed pretty much impossible. So Captain Reyes immediately declares a mayday, and their goal is to make an emergency landing at Naha Airport in Okinawa. But here's the problem: they can't steer. The plane is stuck in this wide right-hand turn, and they literally fly right past their destination. The situation got so desperate that the US military air traffic controllers on Okinawa actually took over communications trying to talk this wounded giant down from the sky.
They even scrambled a Learjet to fly up alongside the 747 just so its pilots could see the damage and radio back what was going on. Just incredible teamwork.
With all their normal controls completely gone, the crew had only one option left. And it was a long shot. Something incredibly difficult and super dangerous. They had to fly the plane using only the engine throttles. The technique is called asymmetric thrust. If that sounds familiar, it's because it was the same last-ditch method used in the famous United Airlines Flight 232 crash just 5 years before this.
So just try to wrap your head around what this means. You've got this massive jet, and to get it to turn left, you have to push the throttles forward for the engines on the right side. Want to go right? You power up the engines on the left. And to go down, you have to carefully, so carefully, pull back the power on all the engines at once, but not so much that you stall and fall out of the sky. Captain Rice was literally steering a 200-ton airplane with just his fingertips on 4 separate levers. It's just mind-boggling. And for an entire hour, can you imagine how long that must have felt? The crew wrestled with those throttles. They were making these huge, slow, clumsy turns, just painstakingly inching the plane back towards Okinawa. But somehow, against every single odd, Captain Reyes managed to line the plane up with the runway and bring that battered jet down safely. 292. That's how many lives were saved that day. Every single one of the remaining 272 passengers and the 20 crew members survived. It was just an absolutely incredible feat of airmanship, a testament to their calm, their heroism, and their unbelievable skill. And you can bet they were hailed as heroes. The president of the Philippines at the time, Fidel Ramos, personally commended them for what he called their professional handling of a potentially disastrous situation, which, let's be honest, is a massive understatement for what they pulled off. But the story doesn't end there, because as investigators started digging into Ramzi Youssef's plot, they uncovered a reality that was somehow even more chilling. This whole horrifying ordeal, it wasn't the main event. It was just practice. What they found was something called the Bojinka plot. This wasn't just one bomb on one plane. No, this was a massive 3-phase terrorist plan. And the bombing of Philippine Airlines 434, it was nothing more than a test run, a way for Youssef to see if his bomb design worked and to find the loopholes in airport security. And the next phase of that plot, it's staggering. It was called the Airlines Bombing Plot. The plan was to simultaneously blow up 11 US airliners, all while they were flying over the Pacific Ocean. And he was going to use bombs with 10 times the power of the one on Flight 434. The goal? To kill around 4,000 people and basically grind global air travel to a halt. The only reason it never happened is because a chemical fire broke out in Youssef's apartment in Manila, which led the police right to his laptop, where all these horrifying details were stored. So when you look back, the story of Flight 434 is this incredible testament to the skill and bravery of its crew. But it's also a pretty terrifying reminder of how thin the line is between safety and total disaster. A seating chart, a difference of just a few feet, that's what separated this near miss from a plot that could have literally changed the world. And it just leaves you with that one chilling question: what if his test bomb had been in the right seat?